Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srimad Prabhupada Guru Maharaj. Devi Shakti Mati, when are you ready? You can start Mataji.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tator Jayamudiraye. Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtike. Hare Krishna to all the assembled devotees. Today we'll be reading from Canto 7, Chapter 7, What Prahalad Learned in the Womb, continuing with text, starting from text 45. All this paraphernalia is very near and dear as long as the body exists. But as soon as the body is destroyed, all things related to the body are also finished. Therefore, actually, one has nothing to do with them, but because of ignorance, one accepts them as valuable. Compared to the ocean of eternal happiness, they are most insignificant. What is the use of such insignificant relationships for the eternal living beings? Text 46. My dear friends, O sons of the Asuras, the living entity receives different types of bodies according to his previous fruitive activities. Thus, he is seen to suffer with reference to his particular body in all conditions of life, beginning with his infusion into the womb. Please tell me, therefore, after full consideration, what is the living entity's actual interest in fruitive activities, which result in hardship and misery? Text 47. The living entity who has received his present body because of his past fruitive activity may end the results of his actions in this life. But this does not mean that he is liberated from bondage to material bodies. The living entity receives one type of body, and by performing actions with that body, he creates another. Thus, he transmigrates from one body to another through repeated birth and death because of his gross ignorance. Text 48. The four principles of advancement in spiritual life, dharma, artha, karma, and moksha, all depend on the disposition of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, my dear friends, follow in the footsteps of devotees. Without desire, fully depend upon the disposition of the Supreme Lord and worship Him, the Supersoul in devotional service. Text 49. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is the soul and the supersoul of all living entities. Every living entity is a manifestation of its energy in terms of the living soul and the material body. Therefore, the Lord is the most dear, and He is the supreme controller. Text 50. If a demigod, demon, human being, yaksha, gandharva, or anyone within this universe renders service to the lotus feet of Makanta, who can deliver liberation, he is actually situated in the most auspicious condition of life, exactly like us, the Mahajans, headed by Prahalad Maharaj. Text 52. My dear friends, O sons of the demons, you cannot please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by becoming perfect brahmanas, demigods, or great saints, or by becoming perfectly good in etiquette or vast learning. None of these qualifications can awaken the pleasure of the Lord, nor by charity, austerity, sacrifice, cleanliness of vows can one satisfy the Lord. The Lord is pleased only if one has unflinching, unalloyed devotion to Him. Without sincere devotional service, everything is simply a show. Text 53. My dear friends, O sons of the demons, In the same favorable way that one sees himself and takes care of himself, take to devotional service to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present everywhere as the supersoul of all living entities. Text 54. O my friends, O sons of demons, everyone, including you, the yakshas and rakshasas, the unintelligent women, sudras and cowherd men, the birds, the low animals, and the sinful living entities can revive his original eternal spiritual life and exist forever simply by accepting the principles of Bhakti Yoga. Text 55. In this material world, to render service to the lotus feet of Govinda, the cause of all causes, and to see him everywhere is the only goal of life. This much alone is the ultimate goal of human life, as explained by all the revealed scriptures. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 7th canto, 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled What Prahlad Learned in the Womb. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Devashakti Mataji, for reading the verses today. We'll start with prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashilakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagara Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So this basically, this chapter is Prahlad Maharaj talking to his school friends, and how whatever he has learned in the womb from Narad Muni when he was in the womb of his mother Kayadu is what he is explaining to his friends. So he's talking about a lot about this body and this bodily relations. So in continuing from yesterday's verse, basically today's verse is also verse number 45 is saying the same. It's saying that not just this body, everything that is attached to the body, all the paraphernalia that is attached to the body, all the people, things, everything that is related to the body is all temporary, and as soon as the body is finished, everything will be finished. So and one actually is we are, so basically he's emphasizing the point that we are not this body, we are actually the spirit soul, but because of ignorance we accept this body and this everything related to the body as valuable. And and then he's mentioning that we should not be attached to the temporary things of this body, and we should take to Krishna consciousness and become eternally happy. And then he's saying that the living entity receives different types of bodies according to our previous activities. So whatever we have performed, he's talking about the karma philosophy. So whatever karmana deva netrena. So whatever the living entity has received in this life as a particular type of body is according to his karma in the previous life. And everything that is there. So in the purport, Prabhupada has mentioned that even the pleasures that we derive from this body is based on our previous karmas. So it is all our good or bad doings in our previous life that we are able to enjoy or suffer in this particular body. And whatever we perform in this particular body, we will see the result if not in this life itself, immediately in this life, we'll get it in the next life. So that is basically how karma works. And then in text 47, it says, a living entity who has received his previous body because of his past fruitive activities may end the result of his actions in this life, but this does not mean that he is liberated from bondage to material bodies. The living entity receives one type of body, and by performing actions with that body, he creates another body. And thus he transmigrates from one body to another through repeated birth and death because of his gross ignorance. So this cycle continues to go on. Like, it's not that, once we have received the human form of life, because this is the highest form of life, and that we are able to think, and, we are able to, compared to other lower species of life, we are in a better situation. But that does not mean that there is nothing after after this birth. We will continue to evolve. We will continue to transmigrate from one body to another. And how to stop this process? So basically the start this basically in this particular human form of life, we should do athato brahma jigyasa. That means we should inquire uh, from from scriptures. We should inquire from spiritual master, and a bona fide spiritual master will be able to give us the path to liberation from this cycle of birth and death. And in the Bhagavad Gita also it says, Tadviddhi paripratena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanena tattva darshanam. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So one must approach a spiritual master, one must do pariprashna or surrender, ask questions, surrender himself, and render service. So with this, we should an intelligent person should inquire from the spiritual master about the goal of life, because this is definitely not the goal of life to continue in this cycle of birth and death. And a bona fide spiritual master can answer all of these questions because they have seen the truth, and they have understood the truth from the scriptures. And then in in text 48, Prahlad Maharaj continues, the four principles of advancement in spiritual life, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, all depend on the disposition of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, my dear friends, follow in the footsteps of devotees without desire, fully depend upon the disposition of the Supreme Lord, worship Him, the Super Soul, in devotional service. So we should not be basically, earlier Prahlad Maharaj was talking about Karma Mimamsa philosophy. So basically, Karma Mimamsa philosophy is that, whatever action you perform, whether it is good or bad, it will have the same reaction in the next life. Right? So if we perform good deeds, let's say, for example, in this particular life, then in the next life, we will be enjoying the benefits of that, of our activities, of our good activities in this life. But he now refutes that philosophy. He says that this karma mimamsa philosophy is not completely true, because everything depends on the will of the Supreme Lord. So dharma, artha, kama, moksha, like everything, it all depends on the disposition of the Supreme. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead is happy, only then we will get results. And even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. So to take shelter of the Supreme Lord is the only is the only way to get good results. And what does it mean to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord? It means to act according to the rules and regulations of devotional service. So even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that even for anything, even for economic development or sense gratification, anything, uh, we should discharge our devotional, we should discharge our occupational duties, but we should be fully dependent on the results on the Lord. And then it's in the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says, Karmane evadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You have the right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of the action. So according to whatever one's position is, we should perform our duties, whatever our duties are, but we should not be thinking about the results. We should depend on the results upon Krishna. So this karma mimamsa philosophy, it's not it is not something that is completely foolproof, because the result depends on the mercy of the Supreme Lord. That is what it says here. And then in text 49, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari is the soul and supersoul of all living entities. Every living entity is a manifestation of his energy in terms of the living soul and the material body. Therefore, the Lord is the most dear and he is the supreme controller. So, Prahlad Maharaj is saying that why should we please the Supreme Lord? It's like he's answering that question. That why should we satisfy the Supreme Lord? It is because he's the soul. He's the soul of the soul. So and he's the super soul of all the living entities. So without him we cannot even exist. So that's why he is that is why he needs to be worshipped, and that's why he needs to be he is the one that we need to satisfy. In Brahma Samhita, in Bhagavad Gita 1861, it says, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddesha Arjuna Tishtati. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and he is directing all the living entities, and as he's seated in the heart of the living entity. So the body is just like a machine, like like a car, and the living entity is given a chance to sit and move in this particular body. And the Lord, however, is also sitting along with us in this car, in this machine, and he's directing our thoughts. He's directing our desires. So that is what is mentioned here. And then in verse 50, Prahlad Maharaj says that no matter what you are, even like, whatever condition you are in, or whatever type of body that you are in, if if you're a demigod, demon, human being, yaksha, gandharva, or anyone within the universe, if we render service to the lotus feet of Mukunda, he is actually situated in the most auspicious condition of life. So this is the only auspicious condition of life that this to perform devotional service is what is our constitutional position, and it is the most auspicious position. And then in verses 51 and 52, he says, "My dear friends, O sons of the demons, you cannot please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by becoming perfect Brahmanas, demigods, or great saints, or by becoming perfectly good in etiquette or vast learning. None of these qualifications can awaken the pleasure of the Lord. Nor by charity, austerity, sacrifice, cleanliness, or vows can one satisfy the Lord. The Lord is pleased only if one has unflinching, unalloyed devotion to Him. Without sincere devotion service, everything is simply a show. So he continues again the same, the Karma Mimamsa philosophy, refuting the Karma Mimamsa philosophy that, even though you may be perfectly performing your prescribed duties, your prescribed um, activities, but that will, if it does not please the Supreme Lord, then it is not, basically, then there is no point. And, because um, the Lord is pleased only when one has unflinching, unalloyed devotion unto Him. And even if the unflinching, unalloyed devotion is not performed properly, it is still, it is still a perfect position, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, "Apichetsu duracharo bhajate ma mananya bhag sadhureva samantavya samag vyavasito hi sa." So even where Krishna says that even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotion service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. So even if the devotion service is not completely unalloyed or completely satisfying Krishna, it is still better to perform because it is a perfect. We'll be situated in a perfect position. And if we flip that thing, if we flip that particular verse, so basically the the thing is, the duties that are executed by men regardless of occupation are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction to the message of the Supreme Lord. So like, if we are performing devotional service, if we are performing occupational duties, but they're not perfectly, and they're performed like, however they should be performed by the books. But if it is only useless labor if it does not provoke attraction to the message of the Supreme Lord. That's what Prahlad Maharaj is saying. And then he's continuing, "My dear friends, O sons of the demons, in the same favorable way that one sees himself and takes care of himself, take to devotional service to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present everywhere as the supersoul of all living entities." So he's saying that we should perform um, uh, devotional service and in a favorable way. So therefore, um, the word, it says here, Atmapamyena refers to thinking others to be like oneself. So one should, Prabhupada mentions that one should very intelligently conclude that without devotional service, without becoming Krishna conscious, one cannot become happy. And it is a duty for everybody to preach this Krishna consciousness to everybody, so that everybody can come out of this pangs of material world, material existence. And then Prahlad Maharaj says, "O my friends, O sons of demons, everyone including you, the yakshas and rakshasas, the unintelligent women, shudras, coward men, and birds, lower animals, sinful living entities, can revive his original eternal spiritual life and exist forever simply by accepting the principles of Bhakti Yoga." So anybody can perform. It's not like, it is only for the Brahmanas, it is only for those who can read, or, like those who are able to devote time. Anybody and everybody can perform devotional service. There is no inhibition, there is no restriction on who can perform devotional service. Even the lower animals, the sinful living beings, everybody can perform devotional service. And um, because everybody is in Achyuta Gotra. So especially the devotees of the Lord, they are considered to be in Achyuta Gotra, means the dynasty of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so yeah, even the yakshas, women, shudras, birds, lower animals, everybody can be elevated to this Achyuta Gotra. That means that is the family of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the highest perfection, to be in the Lord's Gotra, to be considered as his family. So that is the highest perfection of life. And this is how we can perfect our spiritual life, perfect this life. And then in verse 55, in this material world, to render service to the Lord, to the lotus feet of Govinda, the cause of all causes, and to see him everywhere is the only goal of life. This much alone is the ultimate goal of human life, as explained by all the revealed scriptures. So then Prahlad Maharaj, towards the end, he says, and what is the goal? What is the how should we how should we know that that we have perfected this particular devotional activity? Is just whatever we are trying to praise the Supreme Lord, we are trying to perform devotion service, but how will we know what is the perfection, basically? So basically he's saying that when we see him everywhere, this is the goal. When we see him everywhere in this material world, uh, we render service to him, and we see him everywhere. That is the goal of life. So when we've achieved that means that it is the perfection. And so it says, the Mahabhagavat, the advanced devotee, in Chaitanya Charitamrita it says, the Mahabhagavat, the advanced devotee, certainly sees everything mobile and immobile, but he does not exactly see their forms. Rather, everywhere he immediately sees the manifest form of the Supreme Lord. So he sees, so even in this material world, the devotee, the one who is perfectly situated, they will see Govinda in everything. Even in the material world, a devotee does not see materially manifested things. Instead, he sees Govinda in everything. When he sees a tree or a human being, a devotee sees them in relation to Govinda. And the devotee always sees them as the cause of all causes. So, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha. So, Brahma Samhita, it says that Lord is the Govinda, he is the primeval cause of all causes. So the test of a perfect devotee is that he sees Govinda everywhere in the universe, even in the atomic particle. And then in the purport, Prabhupada has mentioned a verse. It doesn't say where, but basically where it is from. But it says a devotee sees everything and everyone and everything in relation with Narayanam Ayam. Everything is an expansion of Narayan's energy. Just as those who are greedy to see everything as a source of money making, and those who are lusty see everything as being conducive to sex, the most perfect devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, saw Narayan even within a stone column. This does not mean that we must accept the words Daridra Narayan, which has been manufactured by an unscrupulous person, but one who has actual vision makes no distinction between the poor and the rich. So to single out Daridra Narayan or poor Narayan and to reject Dhani Narayan or rich Narayan is not the vision of a devotee. So that is what Prabhupada has mentioned, that we should basically see Narayan or Govinda everywhere and see him as a cause of all causes. So I'll pause here. Thank you very much. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sundaran Prabhu, if you want to add something, please feel free.
Yeah, no, Mate. Thank you for the wonderful class, Mate. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.